Now life can begin. I've cleansed all my sins. I'm about to break through. 5,000 miles left on the road. 200 hours till I am home. I need something human, 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 human. And I need your touch.
Hello everyone and welcome to Musecast, the podcast for musers. I'm your host, Anais Lucia. And that was today's featured muse cover of Something Human by, I hope I pronounced this correctly, Peter Efremoudis from Greece. Peter, if you're listening, please let me know if I messed it up and how you pronounce it correctly. But his voice is amazing and I had to, feature his cover. So thank you so much, Peter, for letting me feature your cover of Something Human on the show. You can follow him on Instagram and YouTube, and I'm going to post his links in the show notes and video description if you're watching on YouTube. So go follow him, like him, support him. I want to feature muse covers on every episode, so if you have a muse cover, please send it my way through any of my social media that's in the show notes or video description so I can feature it because I want to share all these amazing covers with other fans. Alright, so today's topic is going to be about, muse's old stomping grounds, Teignmouth. And not just Teignmouth, but sites that every muser should visit if you guys ever get to go there. I have not been there. I almost went, I think, about 6 years ago on my first trip to Europe. I was planning on stopping by Teignmouth. I had already booked my hotel and everything. Just things happened and I didn't end up going, but I definitely plan on it because I love Muse and I feel like eventually I do need to go to Teignmouth. It's something that has to happen. And I feel like, when we love something or someone, we have to know the background, where they come from. And at least so that's what I think, so we can understand them better. I know a lot of you probably already know a lot about Teignmouth, but, this is for those who maybe don't know as much, and who knows, even if you think maybe you'll learn something new today. Who knows? But before we start, let's get into a little bit of Muse news. That kind of rhymes, but
we request that everybody stays calm at the current moment, for there is a zombie apocalypse currently happening on the West Coast.
In case you didn't know, Matt is part of this super group called the Jaded Hearts Club Band. But I mean, if you're following him on Instagram, you probably already know this. But they actually have a music video premiering today, April 20th, for their cover of Marvin Gaye's "This Love-Starved Heart of Mine." It's killing me. The track is amazing. I have not seen the video yet because I'm recording this before April 20th because I'm actually putting out this episode on April 20th. So I'll hopefully talk about the music video in the next episode. Just a little trivia about the original track. Marvin Gaye originally recorded it back in 1967, but it wasn't actually released until 1994. So 30 years later, which is pretty crazy. The Jaded Hearts Club Band is made up of Matt Bellamy, who is the producer, a bassist, and he does backing vocals. Nick Sester from Jet. Is that how you pronounce his last name? Sester? Or I don't know. Please someone correct me if I said it wrong. But yeah, he's from Jet. He does the lead vocals. Jamie Davis, he's kind of the main founder of the group. He plays rhythm guitar, does backing vocals, and he also previously ran Graham Coxon's label Transcopic Records. And the band also consists of Miles Kane from The Last Shadow Puppets on lead vocals, Sean Payne from the Zootons, who plays drums and also does backing vocals, and Graham Coxon from Blur, who plays lead guitar and backing vocals. So their new album, we don't have a release date yet, but they decided to cover a bunch of Northern Soul, Motown classics. And Matt said, we listened to hours and hours of songs from the Northern Soul / Motown period to choose the right 10 for an album. This perfectly sums up what we are trying to do as a Jaded Hearts Club, to shed light on some of the greatest lost songs ever written. So, in case you haven't heard, they already covered Nobody But Me, which was amazing. I love that song, it's so good. I'm so excited for the album because I love oldies just in general. And when I first heard of the Jaded Hearts Club band, they were covering all these Beatles songs. Beatles is one of my favorite groups too, and my head almost exploded because it was like, oh my gosh, the lead singer of my favorite band, Muse, is covering songs from one of my other favorite bands, the Beatles. Like, what? And their covers were so good, and then seeing Paul McCartney perform with them is amazing. So and I love, like I said, oldies and Motown, so I'm really, really excited to see what songs from that era they choose. And I also love discovering kind of like lesser known music and things like that, so I'm really curious to see if they pick any songs that I have not heard, because, well, this Marvin Gaye one I hadn't heard, so they already picked that one, but Nobody But Me I have. So I'm just excited, and maybe they'll introduce a whole new generation to more oldies, which is awesome because that era is amazing and we need to, get familiar with it and respect it. So before we get into the topic, I'm wearing a, kind of related shirt. I actually bought this shirt in Jersey, not New Jersey, but the island of Jersey in the Channel, which is part of the Channel Islands. I actually got it 2 years ago. I actually went there. So I was close to Teignmouth. Jersey is just, basically like probably an hour flight across the English Channel from like Teignmouth. I didn't realize how close I was, but I was there in Jersey to run a 13K, and Jersey was absolutely beautiful. I just love trees and water and everything. It's a little island, so I thought it was gorgeous. And then I was looking at the map and I realized, wow, Teignmouth and Jersey are actually really close to each other. Yeah, so I almost went to Teignmouth like 5 years ago, but then actually I took another trip 2 years ago where I went to Jersey and London. So I've been close to Teignmouth, but I just haven't been there. But one day I hopefully will. So that's why I'm wearing this shirt that I bought there. It's from the Jersey Zoo there. So I'm pretty happy that I have this shirt. I love it. And I know it's not Teignmouth, but in case you're curious and you would like to see my travel vlogs from when I went to Jersey and London, you can check that out on my YouTube travel channel, and I'll post that in the video description and in the show notes. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, let's learn a little bit about Teignmouth. So Teignmouth is in the county of Devon in England, and DevonGuide.com describes Teignmouth as a pleasant seaside town nestling below the Haldon Hills. It lies along a stretch of red sandstone coast on the attractive estuary of the River Teigne, beneath the shadow of Dartmoor. There are panoramic views from the high ground around town. If you love ocean, nice views, definitely go to Teignmouth. So I just want to play this little clip. I found this really cute tourism film from 1960 about Teignmouth. It's called Teignmouth, Sunny South Devon. It's by the Teignmouth Urban District Council. If you are listening to the podcast, I suggest you go to the YouTube channel and actually see the clip that I'm about to show you because it's super cute. And here you go.
Come with me to Teignmouth in sunny South Devon, where long stretches of pleasant beaches and the wide estuary of the River Teigne combine with the delightful Devon countryside to provide a resort of unparalleled natural beauty. Teignmouth is one of the smaller resorts, and life is more leisurely than in some of the larger cities by the sea. Most of you have enough of queues and crowds during the year and want to slow down during your holiday. There are nearly 2 miles of sandy beaches on the Teignmouth side of the river, with another mile or so at Shaldon and the Ness Cove.
So that's just a little clip of the tourism film. If you want to watch the whole thing, I'm going to post a link in the show notes and video description. I just love seeing kind of like, like older films, especially with that music. It's just so nostalgic to me. I love it. And I just think it's really cute. Sorry I say cute a lot, but I think that is so cute. All right, so contrary to what some people might believe, Muse was actually not born in Teignmouth. None of the members were actually born there. They grew up there, but yeah. Matt actually moved to the town at age 10, and Chris moved there when he was 11. I couldn't really find when Dominic moved there, but yeah, none of them were born there. But it's kind of considered their, I guess it's more like the hometown of Muse as a group than the individual members, because that's where the band was formed, but not where they were formed. You know what I mean? It was also where the Homecoming Seaside Rendezvous shows occurred in September 4th and 5th in 2009. They took place 10 years after the release of their first album, Showbiz. 40,000 fans came for 2 nights, which was more than double the population of Teignmouth. The tickets sold out pretty much immediately. I wish I would have been there. When I heard about that, I wanted to be there so bad, but I couldn't. It was too far for me, but I would have loved to have been there. I did see the show online and it looked amazing. Also, Muse ran with the Olympic torch through Teignmouth for a little bit in 2012. I don't know if you guys saw that. If you're watching the podcast on YouTube, you can see a little clip of them doing that. The population of Teignmouth is, from what I found, around 19,000 people. So 19,402. My hometown, I'm actually from a small town too, is a little over 20,000. So my hometown has about 1,000 more people than Teignmouth. So I can totally relate with so much of being from a small town, and it's kind of cool to know that it's kind of like around the same amount of people. And I mean, just growing up there, it's definitely not that much to do. Everyone knows everyone. It's you have to be kind of a private, I feel. I mean, if you just are a private person, because you never know, if you tell one person one thing, it's gonna spread through the whole town. Like for me, the first time I had some drinks, I had my teacher found out. I was like, really? I didn't tell anyone. Somehow my teacher found out I got drunk. So I'm in high school, so gotta be careful in a small town because word spreads really quickly. Also, Teignmouth has record-breaking hours of sunshine, so it's great for people like me who are more daytime people and like longer days. It's hard for me to function when it's dark. My body just starts shutting down, so I'm definitely somebody who likes longer days, more sunshine. I feel like I can be more productive. And also the geographical position of Teignmouth ensures that the weather is going to be, pretty mild through most of the year. So like I said, I haven't been to Teignmouth yet, but I was in Jersey, and I can tell you the weather there was amazing too. And it's also, right by, it's a seaside place, so it was an island. So the weather was really, really nice when I was in Jersey. Days were definitely long. I was there in May, and it was 9 p.m. and like the sun was still out. It was crazy. So definitely long days. Teignmouth is also famous for its pier promenade. It's great for fishing. There's a little Peter Pan railway, and that kind of caught my attention because I love Peter Pan, but I feel like that's more for little kids. But yeah, I'm kind of a big kid, so I wouldn't mind trying to get on that Peter Pan railway. So let's hear what some of the locals have to say about Teignmouth.
There is a fantastic community spirit both in Teignmouth and Chorlton. It's steeped in heritage here. Shall we say it's the finest place in the world in which to live.
The seaside is beautiful, the scenery around here is wonderful, the moors are close by, there's so much to see and do. It's just the most beautiful place to come to.
So Teignmouth is also a pretty great place to retire because it's quiet and small. And I just wanted to show this little clip from the tourism film from Teignmouth, and here you go.
We welcome old people, and here is a party of them leaving one of the seafront hotels for a trip across the moors.
Yeah, so when I first heard that, that was pretty funny because I feel like that's something you probably couldn't get away with saying now. Like, I don't think it's that bad or offensive, but people get really offended by everything now. And if this was made in 1916, I feel now if you made a film and you said that, people would be like, excuse me, blah, blah, blah. So I think that's the other interesting thing about watching just kind of like older, media is you can see kind of the difference in culture and things like that. So a little bit of history about Teignmouth. In 1690, it suffered a devastating invasion by the French, but it reinvented itself in the 18th and 19th centuries. And then in the 1940s, when the railway opened up on the coast, Teignmouth became the second most popular health resort in Devon. If you like architecture, Teignmouth actually has a variety of architectural styles due to the various air raids during World War II. So on the seafront, there's large Victorian buildings, and behind it, it's lined with Georgian cottages. I really like architecture. I'm not like an expert or anything on it, but I definitely appreciate it and just enjoy seeing different types of architecture, which is one of the reasons I love traveling. So that definitely caught my attention. And some other famous people other than Muse who lived in Teignmouth. The poet John Keats wrote part of Endymion, I hope I pronounced that right, while living in what is now known as the Keats House in 1818, where he lived with his brothers George and Tom. And Thomas Lunny, who was a British painter of maritime scenes, especially historic naval battles, also lived there. His paintings are beautiful, so you should definitely look him up. According to artnet.com, in the final decades of his career, the artist suffered from arthritis in both hands but continued to work up until his death in September 30th, 1837 in Teignmouth. So that's where he passed away. Also, Charles Babbage, who was the English mathematician and inventor, having conceived the first automatic digital computer, lived in Teignmouth as a youngster. So it's a great place to be creative, probably because, there's not much to do. As someone who is from a small town, that I definitely, when there's not much to do, you have to just be creative and find things to do. If you don't want to, do drugs and other stuff. I definitely did that. I made my own, films when I was a kid. I recorded 2-hour long radio shows just because there's not much to do, so you gotta be creative. But today, Teignmouth has a growing artist community. There's live theater, an annual jazz festival, a regatta, a carnival. There's lots of cycling and walking opportunities. There's water sports, so if you like to be physically active, there's something for you in Teignmouth. So let's hear what some young Teignmouth locals have to say about growing up in Teignmouth.
So you have to make your own entertainment, really, like to find your own sort of stuff to do. So,
And people that aren't inclined to do that in a way, they're the ones that probably get into like smoking and drugs and things because there isn't anything for there isn't anything for them to do. So it's kind of the only thing I guess they see to do.
It's not really the best place for work, and you've got to travel to get a decent job.
I can totally relate. So I found this quote from Matt about growing up in Teignmouth, and he said, "The only time the town came to life was during the summer when it turned into a vacation spot for visiting Londoners. When the summer ended, they left and took all the life with them. I felt so trapped there." I definitely relate. Oh my gosh, yeah. There's definitely a sense of like you need to leave this town or you're not going to succeed. That's how I felt growing up. I felt like I needed to, do well in school so I can get the heck out of there and go to college and just leave this town because it just, I don't know, I just felt like if I didn't leave after high school, I would never leave. Another quote from Matt, he said, "My friends were either getting into drugs or music, but I gravitated towards the latter and eventually learned how to play. That became my escape. If it weren't for the band, I would probably have turned to drugs myself." So true. I always tell people, because I grew up in a small town too, so I tell people that, so you either got into drugs, sex, or drinking, I think. Yeah, so it was either drinking, drugs, or sex. I didn't really want to do any of those, so I just kind of was more introverted, and I was just, being creative, making my own little films, playing music. I am not that great, like, to be professional. I just like to do it for fun. But yeah, I just made a lot of short films and things like that, just because I was not interested in, the sex, drugs, and drinking, which that's what happened. And then a lot of people ended up having kids and just staying there in the town forever, and I'm like, bye, I'm leaving. So and then when you're in a small town, you don't really appreciate the good things about it, just because you're a kid and you just find everything so boring, and you usually want to move away, which I certainly did. So but now that once you leave, you just gain a different perspective. So I feel like traveling is definitely very important. So here is Chris talking about appreciating Teignmouth.
I think you need to get out of Teignmouth to appreciate it, though. That's the thing. I mean, it's, I couldn't imagine, being in Teignmouth all the time. I think once you've had the opportunity to travel and see other places, then it's a great place to come back to. When you sort of disappear for a while and then come back slightly older, you see it from a different angle,
But when they first became famous, Muse actually got some heat for basically kind of insulting Teignmouth and calling it a living hell. And Vincent Fusco, I hope I pronounced that right, the mayor of Teignmouth, was not happy about it, and he threw their CDs in the trash. But this is what he says now, or at least, when they had the Seaside Rendezvous shows, this is what he was saying at that time.
It's water under the bridge, it's best forgotten.
So cool, everything has been forgotten. So, it's good to know that, they're able to just, kind of move on past that. But I just thought that was pretty funny how he was like, screw you, Muse, and then now he's like, everything's okay now, it's okay. So now let's get into the different sites in Teignmouth that every Muser needs to visit. So first off, you need to go where Muse first met. They actually met in the Den, which is where they actually had the Seaside Rendezvous shows.
This is quite, a relevant spot in the history of the bands. Like literally right about here, where that little brown patch is where me and Matt first met, and I first asked him to actually join my band. I kind of knew from school that he was a pretty good musician, because I'd seen him playing a bit of blues piano here and there, and a little bit of guitar, but I didn't really know him very well.
And when Dom and Matt asked me to join their band, I think I realised pretty quickly, probably after the first rehearsal, that what we were doing, even though looking back it probably wasn't great at the time, but for that time it was leagues ahead of what we were doing in our other bands.
And right by the Den, you should also check out the Teignmouth Pier, take a nice little walk there. There's an ice cream kiosk, there's a funny statue of a biker.
The pier used to be longer, and that's all that's changed. The storm came and wiped out the back half of it. So that's the development in Teignmouth over the last 60 years, I guess.
See, a lot of all this, they've all got the same games in here. This has been here for about 25 years. I'm sure we're not the only people, but we used to come in here accidentally fall into these machines, so all the money falls out, and grab it and run away quickly.
Next on your Muse pilgrimage has got to be the Teignmouth Community School, where all three of them went to school. And a very important person in Muse history taught there, and that was their music teacher, Jill Bird. They have all, have thanked her for everything that she did to encourage the band.
Actually, one teacher, Jill Bird, actually was a great teacher who actually was quite into the band. Actually, and she used to let us play sometimes, rehearse in the school after hours.
In 2011, Jill Bird told the Express and Echo, "We had no money in the school either. It was awful, really. One bass guitar working if we were lucky, a shoebox cassette player, a crappy drum kit, no decent rooms, but they didn't care. They just say, 'Miss, can we rehearse? Can we rehearse?'" So I really admire that about the guys, that they, were motivated at such a young age, and they wanted to just practice and get better. They knew, at that young of age that, it takes practice. It's not just going to happen overnight. You got to work for it. Jill also said that luckily the music department was in an old building 200 meters from the main school, so they could make as much noise as they wanted. That was one of those strange quirks of fate that changed things for them. The boys were never satisfied with their compositions, though. Most kids at 14 or 15 get them in and think, thank God for that. Not with them. They always wanted to keep improving them. Chris, particularly. What he was doing with his bass back then was genuinely pushing boundaries. I'd give him top marks and say, Chris, this is already brilliant. I can't give you a better mark. He'd be, but it's not right. To have such drive at that age was extraordinary. So I thought that was really, really cool to just hear, again, that, you know, they recognize that they have to, you know, they were pushing themselves to be better, because you don't even see that sometimes in adults. Like, they just want everything to come so easy, and there's a lot of entitled people, but you know, Muse knew that they had to keep practice, and they were always pushing to become better. And I think that's one of the reasons that they're just super talented individually, because they, you know, were always striving to be better. They were never like satisfied at like, yeah, I'm good, you know, I don't need practice. So I think that's super admirable. Jill also said, I saved up for a multi-track tape recorder. It was for the school, but really it was for them, because I knew the equipment we had was limiting. I know I shouldn't have, but I let them take it home at weekends too. I didn't know how it worked either, so we were learning together. That encouragement is so important for young people. It gives them such joy, something to strive for. And yep, I definitely agree, especially in a small town, and you know, when you want to work in entertainment, anything like that, when you're from a small town, people think that you're never going to make it. I love playing music, but I didn't think I was talented enough to be in a band or anything, but I definitely wanted to act and, you know, direct films and everything. But when you're a small town, people are like, yeah, it's never going to happen, blah, 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 especially when you're not rich, you don't have connections or anything like that. And people would just like laugh at me when I would kind of say that that's what I wanted to do. They were like, yeah, it's never gonna happen. Also because I was very shy and quiet, but it was like I didn't really have anyone that believed in me. And I did have one teacher in high school, shout out to Mr. Hole, it's Hohl, not Hole, but he was pretty much the only person that encouraged me and believed in me. And seriously, like, if it wasn't for him, I probably never would have made it to Hollywood. In case you didn't know, I lived in LA for a few years and I worked in the industry and stuff, but now I'm in Florida. But, you know, people would see me on TV and blah, 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 doing stuff, and they couldn't believe it, you know, because I was from a small town. Not that I'm famous or anything, but just working in Hollywood, people were, you know, from my small town, they're kind of impressed. So they never thought you just have to take like a leap of faith, I guess, and just believe in yourself. But also really helps to have a support system. But I didn't really have a support system. I just had one teacher that really supported me. So, you know, it can make a big difference to just have that one person, and teachers are super important. So can never forget the importance of teachers. So never forget Jill Bird, very important in Muse's history. So in 2004, Muse was actually at the opening of the Teignmouth Community College's new Performing Arts Center, and Jill Bird was there as well. She said, to see the boys become a huge band was really moving, especially when they came back for their homecoming gig in Teignmouth. I was one of the first people to buy tickets, but the boys got in touch and said they had put some aside for me. I love that part. Like, I love Muse. Like, just things like this make me love them more, that, you know, they're just so humble. They remember, you know, they're going back to their hometown, doing those gigs, you know, supporting, you know, the opening of the Performing Arts Center. They never forgot Jill, and they hooked her up with tickets. You know, she was so cute. I think it's so cute that she wanted to, you know, she bought tickets right away, and they were like, no, we got you. You don't have to buy them. So I thought that was really awesome, and just one of the reasons I love them. So going along your little Muse journey in Teignmouth, another stop is the Broadmeadow Sports Center, which was where Muse had their first gig in 1994 in a Battle of the Bands. So I guess a lot of fans already know about this, where they were a goth group called the Rocket Baby Dolls, and apparently the, you know, set ended with the stage just getting bombarded by 30 or 40 fans, and the organizers started throwing people off the stage, including Matt, who was still playing. And they, kind of got into this crazy makeup, and they were kind of just having fun with it. They weren't taking it too seriously, so Muse was actually shocked when they actually ended up winning the Battle of the Bands, which is pretty hilarious. So next on the journey is the Teignmouth Muse mural. To take a picture, you have to go there, okay, if you're a Muser. I recently found out that there's a Muse mural in Teignmouth. It's life-size wall mural in the Art Quarter near Northumberland Place, and it's thought to have been painted by the street artist Moss, and it's the 3 band members laughing. And I love that it's them laughing because I think they all have great laughs. I just love when people laugh in general, like people's smiles and everything like that. I love it. So I think that's a great image to have of them. But I found this funny quote. So speaking to Q Magazine about the mural, Dom said, "I'm surprised no one has drawn a penis on it." And Matt added, "Oh yeah, we definitely would have done that." So Dom, I mean, like, come on. I was like, of course Dominic would say that. Yeah. So no, I'm kind of glad nobody has drawn a penis on it. I mean, hopefully no one actually listened to them and did that, because I want to go to Teignmouth and take a picture by that mural. So I hope there's not a penis that I need to Photoshop out. So next on your journey, you have to stop by Sheldon Bridge. I hope I pronounced Sheldon correctly, but that is where Muse carried the Olympic torch in 2012. And apparently so many people crowded onto the bridge that police were worried about the safety of the bridge. Like, that's how many people showed up. So if you're watching on YouTube, you're watching the podcast, you can see, clip of them, carrying the torch. If you have tattoos, or you want a tattoo, or you're just interested in where does Chris get his tattoos, you gotta stop by the Ink Spot. Their website is inkspot.plus.com. I'll put that in the show notes and video description. But they describe themselves as the longest established and only family-run professional tattoo artist shop in Teignmouth and Tunbridge area. So I definitely want to go there. I don't have any tattoos, but I have been debating for probably over 10 years about getting a Muse tattoo. And I always said if I get one, it's going to be there, because I just felt it would be very appropriate to get a Muse tattoo at the same place where Chris gets his tattoos. I don't think he's gotten all of them there, but he's definitely gotten several. So the tattooist Gina Topaz, she is somebody who has tattooed Chris, and she said, "I'm a big fan of Muse," and that he has had other tattoos done there in the past, and Chris was very easygoing and relaxed and nice to talk to, which is not surprising because Chris just seems like that type of guy. Next on the Muse pilgrimage is the Riviera Cinema, and that is where there was a 10th anniversary screening of the Seaside Rendezvous, basically several months ago at the end of 2019, by the Teignmouth Rotary Club. And it actually took them quite a while to be able to get the license to be able to screen it there. And they had to go, through the BBC and other companies to actually be able to get the rights. And basically the only reason that the Rotary Club was allowed to show, have the screening was because Muse was from Teignmouth. If it wasn't for that, they probably would not have had the license approved. So over 800 people attended the private showings. And among those attending the first night were Dominic, Matt, and Chris's mothers. Oh, it's so cute. I wish I could have been there. I just want to just be able to fly to Teignmouth. Anytime there's anything Muse related, I just want to be able to just go to Teignmouth. So I missed the Seaside Rendezvous, the original shows, and now the 10th anniversary screenings. It's so sad. I was almost at Teignmouth. I was so close to Teignmouth twice, and I will go. I'm sorry, I will go. So I did read that Matt Bellamy owns a sheep farm in Devon overlooking the River Teigne. That's how I saw that it was pronounced Tain. So hopefully that's the correct pronunciation, but I don't exactly know where the sheep farm is. I'm not going to encourage people to go stalking or, trying to find his sheep farm, but if he still owns it, I think that's pretty cool. Just, showing that he still has his, roots there. I know his, all of them, they have family there, but it's just nice to see when really famous people haven't forgotten, where they're from. And another activity that Matt likes to do or take part in that takes place in Teignmouth is the Sheldon Regatta, and regatta is a series of boat races. Apparently Matt likes to get involved in the 10 days of the regatta, and he likes to take Bing there with him. It takes place in late August, so if you like boat races, maybe go to the next Sheldon Regatta. Probably not this year. I don't know if they're gonna have it because of COVID. We'll see, but maybe eventually you can just check it out and maybe you'll see Matt there. So those are some of the must-see places for any muser who goes to Teignmouth. And in case, you already saw a bunch and you're like, I want to see more of Teignmouth, some other, maybe not Muse-related Teignmouth attractions that you can go check out are the Teignmouth Museum, which has a lot of interesting exhibitions about the local history. You can take a nice, beautiful walk along the Teignmouth to Dawlish Railway Walk. Oh my gosh, the views are beautiful. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see some pictures I found. Like I said before, I love just like water and trees and stuff, so I definitely want to do that when I go to Teignmouth, because I will go. And if you want to actually get on the water, you can ride the Wee Ferry. It's a family-run business, and they do little ferry rides, boat trips, and just go support local business. And they do a lot of different boat trips, from fishing trips, ferries, round robins, sunset cruises, and much more. So I love water. Okay, how many times do I have to say it? No, I'm just kidding, but I really do. I lived in LA and now in Florida on the coast, so yeah, I just love the water, so I definitely want to try that as well. And you also have to check out the beautiful art on display at the Teignmouth River Beach and Arts Quarter and go support, the local artists and check it out. And last but not least, you can visit the Keats house, where I mentioned earlier John Keats lived with his brothers in Northumberland Place, and there is a commemorative plaque there that says the poet Keats resided here in the year 1818. So he actually wrote a poem called Teignmouth. So I'm going to read you a little bit of an excerpt from that poem because I really liked it. There's wild wood, a mild hood, to the sheep on the lee of the down, where the golden furze, with its green thin spurs, doth catch at the maiden's gown. There's Newton Marsh, with its spear grass harsh, a pleasant summer level, where the maidens sweet of the market street do meet in the dusk to revel. There's a Barton rich, with dike and ditch, and hedge for the thrush to live in, and the hollow tree for the buzzing bee, and a bank for the wasp to hive in. And oh, the daisies blow, and the primroses are wakened, and violets wild sit in silver plight, and the green buds as long as the spike end. Alright, so that was my reading. Sorry it was not that great, but I wanted to share the poem with you guys. And Muse, maybe if any of you guys are listening, Matt, maybe you can incorporate some of these, words, this poems into a song. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think you could call the song Teignmouth. I think that'd be awesome. All this, song Teignmouth by a band that was formed in Teignmouth that is incorporating, a poem that was called Teignmouth by a poet who lived in Teignmouth. So very Teignmouthy. So, you just have to do it. So, all right, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed learning about Teignmouth. Hopefully you learned something that maybe you didn't know before, and if maybe you weren't planning on it, hopefully now you want to go and you have a better idea of, what you want to see in Teignmouth. I know it's a small town, but there are things to do, okay? So I definitely want to check it out. I just love small towns. I think, I don't know, maybe because I'm from a small town, like I definitely didn't really appreciate it that much when I was younger. But I just find that when I go to small towns, like people are just so friendly. Like they just appreciate like the visitors a lot more because they're not used to it as opposed to larger metropolitan areas. You know, they get tourists all the time. They're almost like sick of tourists. But when you go to a small town and you really have this genuine curiosity about it, I find that locals are just super appreciative. They're super friendly, super helpful. Like when I went to Jersey, everyone I met there was super nice. And sorry I say super a lot, but that's how nice they were. They were so nice. And just if you just go and you're respectful and you're genuinely interested in them and their town, they're going to be so appreciative and so helpful. And I can't wait to go. Hopefully it'll be soon. I mean, depending on what happens with COVID and everything like that. But, you know, hopefully I will get the chance to go. If you have been to Teignmouth, please share what it's like. Share it in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube but here in the video, in the comments below, or send me a DM on Instagram, and I would love to share your experience on hopefully the next episode. I'm going to post links to the tourism film in the show notes and the video description, as well as some other clips that I found of Teignmouth in 2018, 2019, so you can kind of get an idea and see what it looks like now. Thank you so much for listening to this whole episode. If you did, I truly appreciate you spending the time with me. And check out this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and hopefully it'll be on Google Play Podcast soon if it's not already. If you can, please rate the podcast, leave a review, a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, comment and subscribe. It really helps out the podcast, and hopefully we'll get other musers to see it, because I definitely want to connect with you guys. But how it works with podcasts and YouTube is the more engagement you get, more comments, more likes, that's YouTube will take that and recommend it to other people. But if nobody comments or likes, then it's not going to. So that's why a lot of people are like, subscribe, like, and comment, because it helps us out to spread it. Unlike COVID, we do want to spread the podcast. I want to spread the podcast, not COVID. If you want to be featured, if you write a review of the podcast on any of the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., if you write a review and you screenshot your review and then you share it on your Instagram in a story, and then you tag me at Musecast Pod, I will share your review on the next episode and then share it on my Instagram stories. And I would greatly appreciate your comments. So I hope to hear from you guys, because I definitely want to hear any ideas you have for future shows and things like that. Again, if you want to connect with the podcast, Instagram, Musecast Pod, Twitter at Musecast Pod, here the YouTube channel, Musecast, and all the links for that. Just check it all out in the show notes and video description. Again, please DM me if you do Muse covers or fan art, because I want to feature the fan art on the Instagram. You can also check out my other podcast, Quarantined Happy Hour, where I talk about a variety of topics there. You can also follow me on my main Instagram account at Small Town Girl Travel. I remember to also follow the cover artist that I played earlier on the show, Peter Efremoudis. Hopefully I said it right. All his social media is in the show notes and video description. Thank you, Peter, so much again for letting me share your covers on the show. And yes, I said covers, plural, because we started with Peter singing solo, and now we're gonna end with a cover by his band Indigo of The Handler. So yeah, the social media links for his band Indigo are in the video description and show notes, so check them out. And here you go. Again, thank you so much for listening, and here is the cover of The Handler by Indigo. See you next time. Bye.
was lost in translation, and my heart has become a cold and impassive machine.